Hello and welcome to Life as a Dance. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Taras, and we've got a jam-packed episode for you today. From visiting Portland to dancing, of course, live streaming, and of course, a trip down memory lane back to the 80s.
I guess let's first start talking about the Portland DOR run by Russ and TJ, because there was something new and exciting about this DOR.
That's
Fill
right.
us in, Taras.
That's right. Not only was it hosted in Portland, Oregon, but it was the very first time that we got the opportunity to actually live stream the professional Showdance competition. It was an idea that we've been talking about for a long time behind the scenes, and we got all this gear, and so I just decided, Todd Combs and I, who is also the co-host of 80s Today, that'll be released very soon, reached out to him and be like, hey, Russ, do you want to do something that's never done before? And what did Russ in Russisms say? Sure, why not? Without hesitation. So that was really something that was special. And of course, seeing all the dancing is always special and always motivating, but the fact that we were able to live stream it, that was just a whole other thing.
Or live streamed.
Yeah.
And what was that like? And were you nervous?
Yeah. So not only were we nervous, I shouldn't say nervous. Because it was the pilot episode, so to speak, the anticipation, or probably the people who were kind of in charge of these events, were probably like, it's probably not going to work. So if worse came to worse and it didn't work, it didn't work. It was worth the try. So, but of course, we wanted to make sure that it did work. So things that we were nervous about and what took actually days was the setup, from setting up to the gear. Because when you go to a dance competition for the first time, inevitably you're going to run into things, whether you kind of freak out about choreography or you're not used to all the people on the floor. The floor is a different feel. So you have to adjust and adapt to any situation. So this was that. It was the very first time. So Todd's microphone wasn't working because we use an SM7B that, for those of you who do podcasting, an SM7B needs a cloud lifter, which boosts the audio signal. So our travel gear didn't work with that microphone. So we had to figure out some workarounds with that. The internet connection was too slow, so we got a lot of buffering and a lot of freezing. So we had to figure out that. And then OBS, which is a software that helps change the signal, the video signal, and put it up into the internet, that was freezing on us too. So we had to work that out. So there was a couple of those like things that were going that we just didn't encounter before. So we had to figure that out. So that was just a long-winded response to how excited and nervous I was to actually do this for the first time. So, and it was also funny, and Wendy, you'll see if you watch it, we'll put a link in the description below that if you decide you want to watch it, you can do so. But in the opening scene, you can see Wendy in her beautiful red dress. So what was the most memorable thing for me for the weekend was seeing her in that beautiful red dress. Because red's not your color. She says red's not her color.
It's just not a color that I'm drawn to. So.
Wow.
I don't know. It's just never been a color that I don't know. It's just not a color that I look or go for when I'm shopping.
Do me a favor, y'all. Go to that video. You don't have to get too far in the video because you'll see Wendy right in the front. She wears a beautiful red dress with a low cut on her back. And she just gets up from her chair, turns around, turns back, and just sits back down. And so I'd be curious to know what was going on in your brain during that. But it didn't matter because it's good for us. So we get to.
Well, what was going on in my brain is clearly I had no idea that the camera was on me.
Yeah.
The dress, I have to say, thanks to Casey, our trainer, she had worn a dress like that for the holiday and bought 2 sizes. And I was like, I don't have a red dress. And she's like, I have one. So I kind of just brought it and hoped for the best. So thanks for the positive feedback to us.
It's awesome.
It was very, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
It was quite the dress. But I wanted to also ask, what you kind of already answered. I was going to ask, was there anything unexpected or really special that happened during that live stream? And what I think is kind of funny when you think about the correlation between the two, sometimes even at our own events, there are things that are going on behind the scenes that we never let the students know.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how this machine works, that no matter what may be falling apart behind the scenes, the students never know. And it just always works out. So tell us, unexpected or something that was really special that happened.
Well, I think the unexpected was not so much for me, but it was for the other people that were around. They were not, I guess they didn't realize they didn't expect the quality or the amount of gear that we brought, that are just too hobbyists. So it was kind of fun to see the people just walking around and just being, oh, we didn't expect this. We didn't expect to actually have real stuff. So that was kind of fun. What was, just to go back to the highlights thing again, and I apologize if I'm not answering the questions you're asking, but when the new CEO of Arthur Murray Dance Studios was purchased by a group of gentlemen, and the CEO is now Gary Edwards. And Mr. Gary Edwards was okayed it as well very quickly. So that was unexpected. But then when he watched it back, that matched his vision. He was like, I've always wanted an ESPN type quality podcast, but a streaming of these events. And what was so great and unexpectedly to have got that feedback was that's exactly what he was hoping for. That's exactly what we delivered. So without even talking about it, but that's of course what Todd and I were hoping for. And that was it. Yeah.
Isn't one of the purchasers a woman?
She's on the board of directors. She's not an investor.
Is it School of Rock? Am I correct with that? Okay.
Yeah. She's on the board of directors, and she was the president of School of Rock. But yeah, she's not part of that group.
Okay. Just, in case anyone was listening.
Yeah. So if you are listening, we'll leave your name out of public for right now, because I'm not sure if that's supposed to be public knowledge or not, or I'm sure it doesn't matter, but she is on the board of directors though. I
just want to say, like, it was pretty, I feel like I was more nervous for you than you were in respect to how this was going to all pan out.
Yeah.
Because being the main MC is not a small job when it comes to these dance-oramas. And then Todd, of course, he was there dancing.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting just to kind of see the behind the scenes of, everyone was kind of looking over, kind of, wondering, what was going on in everyone's minds, people thinking, is this really going to work out?
Yeah.
And it's kind of incredible how you guys pulled it off. And to be able to do it with Todd, what was that like? I mean, it was like, instead of doing it with just a total stranger, but doing it with like your best friend, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Todd and I think I'll speak for myself and say, I feel like we're probably the closest of friends, or he's the closest friend I have currently.
Well, he is family, remember?
Well, he's your family. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, that
that's
makes
another
him your
story.
family.
Yeah.
Cousin.
That's true. But that's, so we're used to kind of talking back and forth because we play Call of Duty together. And we could riff off of one another pretty well. But it was really cool because we both have the same mindset and the same passion about doing something new, bringing something that's never been done before, and doing it with the amount of quality that stands above what other people have tried to do. And mind you, we're total amateurs and hobbyists. And of course, people, when they want to live stream and show stuff, they do it on Facebook. And if you do Facebook Live, that's literally your phone. And not to say anything's wrong with that. But what I encourage everybody to do if you're watching this is to go watch that. Again, we're going to put the link to the video below, and just click on it. And that was the very first time we were doing a live stream where we have slides that we go through, where we try to have conversations about what's going on the floor. We try to bring some attention to some of the competitors that they might have some certain hobbies and stuff. Because of course, what Wendy was saying is kind of seeing the behind the scenes of the chairman of the judges walking back and forth. You may be wondering, why is there somebody walking back and forth behind us? What is his role? And so Bob Long is the chairman of the judges. Then you have Tara Christensen, who's from home office, who she organizes these events, where she organizes the actual competition portion of it, where Russ and TJ put together the theme nights and the excursions. And so it's quite the process to put on these competitions. And so you kind of get to be able to see what's happening. And of course,
behind the curtain,
yeah. And then of course, people didn't know there was a camera running. So it's kind of funny. You can watch it and you might be like, well, the quality of it isn't that great. I think the video quality is excellent, because we can talk about the gear that we used, but I don't think that'll interest as many people. But they didn't know that there was a camera. So they walked in front of the camera, like one of the judges, Justin from Las Vegas. He's very tall. And so he stood in front of the camera for quite some time. And then, so it was just interesting. So, but we were hoping to do it again. That's a for sure.
Well, I, of course, being one of the judges, wasn't able to participate, but I was, of course, watching, and just sending good vibes your way. And I know Lisa, Todd's beautiful wife, got to help with some of the camera work. But, I haven't been able to watch all 4 hours, being that I was there all 4 hours plus. But, I just think you and yourself.
Yeah, of course.
You and Todd, if we tied this into dancing, you just had like a rhythm and a flow. It felt really natural and candid and genuine. And I think that's something that really made it even more special, because there was no script. It was just pure organic, what's happening.
Yeah.
And I think seeing some things going on behind the camera might be cool for people to see.
I totally agree.
Oh.
But I did want to ask you, since we're talking about me so much, what was it like for you to judge almost every single pro event? She was on the panel for the Professional Showdance Championships, the Future Champions Rhythm, and the Open Professional Smooth and Rhythm. So that's 4 panels. So when we mentioned the competition, the evening was 4 hours long. You were on the majority of it. What was that like for you?
My feet hurt. Just kidding. But they did. It's always exciting and an honor to be, to judge and to see, all the hard work. And, I just believe as a judge, you have to be like, what is the old school, etch a sketch? Like, even though I judge quite a bit, there's that group of people that usually are making the finals. I try to just really just start with a blank canvas and really look at everyone, judging people the way I would have wanted to be judged when during our career. So it was, there were some people that I hadn't seen before. There's also, I think what's great about Area 6 is there does seem to be that group of people that I think they just get out there and dance for the event, which is always nice and fun to see. But it was a lot. It was a lot. And, judging, you take it seriously. It's like, you're trying to make sure people are dancing where you can see them. Sometimes there's people on the edges. I mean, there's moments where as a judge, I've been like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see them. I meant to call them back. So, I mean, it's something, I take seriously, and I always want to honor every couple out there because, the time and the effort, and I remember being out there myself.
Yeah. I think for a future episode would be a great idea is to dive a little bit deeper into what judges look for and how we could help competitors be seen. Now, I'm an accredited adjudicator as well. However, my path has kind of led me more to being the MC, which I totally enjoy. And hopefully going from MCing to live streaming is probably going to be the next logical path we go to. But judging, I think what you just said is like I think that would be a great for a different episode, because the other thing that we got to do in Portland was go to Astoria. That was a highlight. Now, of course, when we go to these dance ramas, they're always in larger cities that will have some sort of tourist attractions. And of course, Portland was an exciting place to go, But we kind of bypassed that and decided to go to Astoria. So what's in Astoria, you may ask? Well, check this out. Do you recognize that house?
Make sure you have the answer or we can't be friends.
Yeah. Wendy, tell the audience where we were.
We went to the Goonies house in Astoria.
Yes. Goonies never say die.
And even better, it was cousin Todd's birthday.
Yeah.
And that was just awesome.
Yeah.
So much fun. Even, let's just start. The hotel that Russ and TJ picked, what a great venue.
Yeah.
Had a market for those of you out there who are matcha fans.
Yeah, you're all about the matcha.
They had amazing matcha. And of course, Portland is known for their coffee. And they had this great market, which always helps us judging when you don't have time to eat. But we had the most beautiful drive to Astoria.
Yeah.
Of course, we had Todd and Lisa with us. Did we already say that?
Yeah.
We did. Okay, but
we can say it again.
Yeah. No better way to spend time than with your besties going on an adventure.
I'll tell you what, Astoria was a place that I want to go back to sooner than later. It was a small, quaint, what felt like a Northeast, but of course it was on the Pacific Northwest. It was beautiful. It was the terrain and the landscaping was just, if somebody was on their phone driving while they're going to Astoria, shame on you. There is so much beauty in that part of the country. I couldn't believe it. And like you said, the hotel was right on the water. We got to see seals that were just like sitting there and barking away.
Actually, I was talking about the hotel for the event. We haven't even ventured into talking about the amazing Bowline Hotel in Astoria. And let's just talk about the word Astoria. It almost sounds like Neverland.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell them about our incredible hotel that Lisa found.
I think you should talk about the hotel because as soon as the door opened, there was a reaction.
A hotel is amazing when you want to get your phone out and do a whole video tour, which I did.
Yeah.
Which we could post maybe if people would be interested. But this hotel was it was like a boutique hotel right on the water. Oh my gosh. The moment we walked in, the smell, they had their own little restaurant in there, bar, like boutique hotel. It smelled amazing. That's always a good sign. Offered us champagne when we walked in. Mm-hmm. And when we got to our rooms, you would have thought, that we paid over $1,000 a night for these rooms. They were so beautiful. Like you walked in and it was the bathroom. All of their toiletries were like in glass, their own like soaps, their own salt that they make there in Portland, Oregon. Then the middle room was the bedroom that had like this king size duvet with down comforters. It had that kind of industrial, it was like what? We think a warehouse, right? That was.
I don't know if it was a place where they used to make the nets, or if it was a fishery, but it was definitely a commercial use space for the fishermen on the wharf.
Just incredible. The cathedral ceilings, you could see the beams. They had organic coffee for terrace, and they had real tea leaves and this like quaint, like old school like refrigerator, and then the back room had a couch. And wait for it, a fireplace. And then the doors opened right onto the pier. And they had earplugs in all the rooms because of the sea lions at night. And our glass door opened. And then right next door to us, Todd and Lisa.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah. And then we got to explore Astoria, downtown Astoria, which as small as it was, and not a huge tourist attraction. I would assume maybe it is during tourist season when the weather's warmer, but there was plenty to do, from good restaurants to, like she said, cafes to just, and I think one of the things about Portland is it says keep Portland weird or something like that. So there's a lot of like cool, weird, chic stuff everywhere. Yeah, it was just surprising.
People were so nice.
Yeah, so nice.
Like so nice. And it's, for us, we have such an active lifestyle. We work so much that it's really hard for me to relax. Usually it takes like days. And we only had like a day and a half really to explore, but the whole vibe of Astoria is just chill, relax.
Yep.
As Taras said, I mean, coffee shops, so quaint. Every place we went, people were recommending other businesses. Definitely a very community-oriented, support one another. The one thing we didn't get to do that we need to go back for, especially on Lisa's end, is tuna fish fries.
Yeah.
They're known for that. But because we were there on a Sunday, Monday, a lot of places were closed.
Yeah.
But we did get a fish fry and it was good.
We did. Yeah, we did. It was good. And we went to like something that Wendy isn't totally into, which is pubs. But the food is all good there. It's just the food was good. The beer was good. But we did try to cram a lot in. And the biggest highlight for us, because we're 80s kids, was seeing the Goonies house. That was like the most important thing. And other things that we didn't know that were filmed there, like Kindergarten Cop was filmed there. And the school that they used is just right down the hill from the Goonies house. And then the other movie that they filmed there was
Reassemble. Huh?
But the whole point of we're trying to say this is that when you go to Dance-oramas and you travel to all these excursions and you do all this dancing, you work really hard to prepare for all these events, always take time for yourself to go experience the little things and decompress from the event. Do yourself a favor and just go see what the town has to offer. You go all this way, treat yourself. Go to Astoria and go visit the Goonies house.
Yeah, the Goonies house is it was just so surreal to see. And the neighborhood, like the whole community is about Goonies. Like all the neighborhood, like it's totally residential. It'll never be commercialized, but all the houses had like special signs or kind of nods to the Goonies.
Yeah.
It was really the hill, climbing up to it and just seeing the excitement of people when we were up there, different ages, like people our age, people younger, but it was just like everybody, you just got it. You could just see that everyone was like, yeah, Goonies.
Goonies is an iconic movie that defined a generation for sure. In June, I believe June or July, it's the 40-year anniversary of the Goonies. So this is kind of a big deal.
I wish we could go.
Yeah, but we'll be at the Boston Dance-orama during that weekend, and with hoping, fingers crossed, live streaming the professional competition there, since it was such a huge success. And I'll tell you what, do us a favor when you do watch that video, watch it for however long you would like, but do us a favor, click like and subscribe and ring that bell, and that will really help us out a lot to let the higher ups know that you want to see the live streams of these professional competitions and you really enjoyed the way we presented it. Of course, we're going to get better at it. We'll be more prepared for the future.
And it's so great because, a lot of times it's just a small group that goes to these events. But especially when you have staff that are dancing professionally, students are so passionate about that and wanting to support them. So to be able to hop on with what Todd and Taras did, students got to see their teachers compete and feel like they were there and, be able to cheer them on from their couch. And that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. Anything you want to leave us with?
Well, I think we should do a part 2 because we didn't get to talk about Cannon Beach.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to do a part 2 so we can share more about our adventures, our Goonie adventures continued off to Cannon Beach. But as Taras said, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. And Taras, maybe one last question before we leave.
Okay.
So if you were to compare your experience live streaming, what that felt like to a dance, what would that dance be?
It would be like doing a round. It'd be like doing a full round. Actually, it would be like doing from first round to quarterfinal to semifinal to final. It was, and what do I mean by that? Because every moment felt a little different and you had to do it all over again and something inevitably happened. So So I can't describe it to a dance. I can describe it to the experience of going through each dance and going through each round, because that's kind of what it felt like.
Well, thanks for joining us for this adventure, and stay tuned for part 2.